I'd like to talk about the only thing that you really need to work on, or the only thing I need to work on: attention. Where is your attention? Where are you placing your attention? This theory, or this practice, comes specifically from the Geoffian work, Geoff Ouspensky. There's a great book called In Search of the Miraculous by Ouspensky it is, In Search of the Miraculous, which gives you a really good outline of the Geoff work. But when Geoff synthesized all his work, when he brought it down to the fruits of his, tens of thousands of hours of experimentation and work and study, he brought it down to one thing: attention. What we put attention on breathes. What we take an attention off diminishes. So it's about us learning to recognize that our attention is scattered all the time. People are unable to hold their attention. You're looking at this video now, and I bet when you came on, I bet you looked at it and thought, oh, it's 10 minutes long, that's okay, I'll sit and watch it. But I bet if it was an hour long, you probably wouldn't watch it, or if it was longer, because your attention wouldn't be strong enough to be able to stay with it. Same as, in general everyday life, people's attention is scattered all the time. They have no control of their attention. But what we put our attention on, what we place our attention on, is what we bring life to. So Geoff believed that the only thing to work on is your attention. So for instance, when you meditate, that's a practice of placing your intention in a specific spot, on a mantra, on a flame, on your breathing, but holding your attention there. And your attention wants to scatter into 20 stories, into 20 different eyes, into 20 different directions, into 100 different stimuluses. It wants to go in all sorts of different directions. But this is about being able to hold your attention, unlock your attention, so you can basically create the body, the mind, and the egoic body that you desire. You can create the reality that you desire. Of course, the reality is created out of you. You're the inlet and outlet for it. And what you put your attention on every single day, what you hold your attention on, is what you create. So most people's attention is directed most of the time towards fear. They're fed fear every single day in the newspapers. The papers are just, what you read in the newspapers is food. It's as real as steak. It feeds you cerebrally, and it infuses every cell of your body. If you take it in and you believe it, it becomes who you are. So if your attention is placed on fear, which again, if you look at the newspapers, most of them are about terrorism, about abuse, about affairs, about celebrity, about soaps, about gossip. Most of the tabloids particularly, it's just like porn. It's just excessive information. The news on the television is exactly the same. It's just full of fear. If you watch it every morning, it just gives you a big dose of fear. So most people's attention is locked all the time on survival. How am I going to make the rent? Am I going to be killed? Am I going to walk outside and someone's going to cut my head off? Or am I going to walk outside and get shot? Am I going to get blown up on the train when I go out this morning? The economy is terrible, so am I going to be able to live? Business is terrible because all the money's been stolen from us by the bankers. And the politicians are not trustworthy. The newspapers are full of fear. We're feeding on fear every single day. So most people's attention is very nicely distracted towards fear. And if you put your attention on fear, and you read the newspaper, you go and talk to your friend at work, you tell him the fear story, you're spreading it more. You tell your wife the story, you tell your friends the story, you get very angry about those Muslims or those Christians or those Hindus or those Sikhs or those bankers or those fucking politicians. You get very angry about that and you tell that story. Massive amount of attention just pissing your energy away. That's because people haven't got control of their attention. They don't even know that they haven't got control of their attention. Their attention is just listening to stories, being distracted, and then incarnated into those stories. So having control of your attention is about you placing your attention where you want to place your attention. So my intention is on development, on culture, on curiosity, on mastering myself, on mastering this physical body, this vehicle, aligning it to, plugging it into the mains electric, understanding more about my reality and about where I am and what I can achieve, and how I want to live. And I don't get my information from the newspapers. They bore me. I don't get my information, and I'm not being arrogant when I say that. They just do. They just bore me. They very, very rarely pick up a newspaper now and be inspired, because that's just not the job of a newspaper. They don't seem to do that anymore. But when you start looking at culture, you start looking at working in the arts, or you start looking at the way certain people live, there's some really, really exciting information out there. There's some really fine essence out there. So I get my information from lots of other places, not those places, and my reality has changed because of it. I've changed because of it, and my reality has changed because of it as well. But that's because I took my attention away from all the negatives. I'm not ignoring all that stuff. I know that there is things going on in the world. I don't need the newspaper to tell me that. I put my attention where my intuition is leading me, my inner tutor. My intuition is leading me towards different information, and I'll collect that information and I'll develop new perceptions, new cognitions. I'll dissolve the old ones and literally create different, better, newer, more exciting realities all the time. A reality where you're free. What is the definition of being free? If you're going to be free, it's the ability. The freedom is the ability to choose where you place your attention, and to choose where you don't place your attention. At the moment, most people haven't got that choice. If the phone rings and someone insults them, they spend the rest of the day with their attention on the insult. If someone praises them and says their work is great, they will spend the rest of the day feeling good about it. But they're at the mercy of other people's energy, the other people's opinions, and their attention is moved around according to the last conversation they had, according to the last review they had. Their attention is determined by the last newspaper they read, or the last thought they had. So they haven't got the ability to be able to hold their attention where they want to hold it. So when I worked as a nightclub doorman, it taught me to be very strong with my attention. So if people are threatening to kill you, not that that wasn't fearful, of course it was, but I was able to hold my attention in the very centre. I was able to centre down. I was able to stay in my body. What people do with your attention is they grab it with fear and they thrust it outside of your body. They take you out of your body, and they place your attention in a future dystopia, in a future, they might say, I'm going to find out where you live and I'm going to come around and kill you. So they take your attention out of the body and place it somewhere else. So I learned to keep my attention in the body, even in very dire situations. Same as when I train in the martial arts. In the martial arts, I learned to keep my body, I learned to keep my attention in the body. I learned to be able to take my physical and sensual and mind body and egoic body to places that it doesn't want to go. I'm in charge of it. I have sovereignty over it, so I can take it beyond its limits. I have the discipline to do that because I'm able to keep my attention there. So it's having the ability to keep your attention in a place that you want to keep it. For instance, I spoke to someone recently who's a senior martial artist, but he's got a smoking addiction, and he said he can never get rid of it. He's had to come to terms with that. But that's just a man that hasn't got the strength to hold his attention in another place other than the addiction. So the addiction comes up, steals his attention, and he's got an addiction. Other people have the same issue with food. The urge to overeat comes up and they can't hold their attention in a healthy, centered place. So their attention is stolen by the need to have excess. They've lost control of their attention. They get sexually aroused. They need to go on the internet and watch sexual porn. They think they're strong or they think they're powerful, but they can't stop their attention from being drawn towards that place. So if we want to do great things with our life, we need to become world class at holding our attention where we want to hold our attention. And then it's really exciting when you get it, because then you can start working with people or being with people, and you can start having such a control of your attention that you can hold your attention on them. So you're not talking to somebody and thinking about somebody else, or waiting for the phone to ring, or looking at your texts. That's another big stealer of attention. Texts, Twitter, Facebook. Not that they're wrong, but that they just rape your attention. Your attention is drawn to it 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day. Try to stop it. If you can't stop it because you haven't got control of your attention. So people are losing their attention to pornography all the time. And when I say pornography, I mean excess. Pornography means excess. So we can practice our attention every single day with every single thing we do. Like when I'm working on this now, my attention is purely on this camera. It's purely on talking to you. So when I'm talking to you, I disappear time, I disappear this room, I disappear this house, I disappear this street. I call it disappear in the room. I disappear the room because my attention is locked on doing this audio or this video. And we can practice it. We say that we're with our children. I'm with my children. I'm a good father. I spend a lot of time with my children. You don't. When you're with your children, your attention is on the phone. It's on the Twitter. It's on the Facebook. Your attention is in 20 different places at once, but it's not on the child that you're with, or it's not on your partner. You say that you're on holiday. You're on holiday for 2 weeks. No, you're not. You're at work for 2 weeks because you take your laptop and you take your phone and you keep in contact because you haven't got the strength to keep your attention in one place. This isn't a criticism, this is an observation, because I don't even know who I'm talking to. Well, of course I do. I'm looking at my own reflection in the camera, so I'm talking to myself. So this is how I practice attention. If I have the urge to overeat, I don't give that attention. I hold my attention in the center. That's with huge discipline. Palate is the best way. Control of palate is the best way to control attention initially. If I have the urge to criticize somebody or judge somebody or gossip, I don't let my attention go there. I pull my attention back to the center. If my attention wants to go towards fear or greed, I bring it back to the center. If it wants to go towards pornography, sexual or violence, I bring it back to the center. I hold my attention in the center, and I practice this specifically through meditation techniques. When I do my Pure Function course, the whole course is really about that. And some people can't even hold their attention for the first session. You might have the first session, they're gone. They can't hold their attention. So it's very easy to look at people and tell straight away whether they can hold their attention. If they're struggling with their weight, you know that they haven't got enough control of their attention to stop it from overeating. Just sitting talking to them, you can see where their eyes go. If their eyes are flitting around when they're talking to you, you know they can't hold their attention. So attention is like a muscle, and if you do it properly, if you exercise it properly, you can become, like my friend Chris Jenkins, you can become a power lifter with attention. Chris Jenkins is one of the most powerful, one of the strongest, I think he's the strongest powerlifter in the world at the moment. He holds the world title for squat. I watched him the other week at a contest. Incredibly impressive, powerful, very physical man. What excites me about that is I want that same strength with my attention, that same strength with my will. And we can practice that. So where is your attention? We think we've got control of our attention, but our attention is being drawn and consumed from every different direction all the time. We don't even know it. So freedom is your ability to hold your attention where you want to hold it. It's your ability to put your attention where you want to put it. If you can choose where you put your attention, and you can choose not to put your intention on fear or any other arousal, you will be able to control the reality that you want to create. Again, just to finish, read Ouspensky's book, In Search of the Miraculous, and it'll give you a real insight into the work of Geoff, who was one of my heroes.